Hello, today I want to tell you about yet another true wireless earbuds, and this time it's definitely earbuds, not earphones, made by company Tranya or Tranya named F1. I already reviewed a couple of models by Tranya and they had a pretty good price to quality ratio. And actually this model they priced at $100, which is pretty much expensive, but they asked me to share a discount code that lowers their price at half. I will add it to the description, and with this code the price is $50, which seems much more reliable for this offer. And it's a single dynamic drivers. Here used 13mm dynamic driver. They mentioned some nanotubes or some other fancy coating and materials, but I don't think it makes really much difference this time. What is more important here, they support they are sweat proof, they are built in the unusual earbuds form factor. Among codecs they support SBC and AAC only. They have low latency mode for gaming and video. They offers pretty good work time. It's about up to 7 hours, but more likely you'll get 5-6 hours depending on volume and selected mode. In gaming mode it will be lower, of course. And they support wireless charging, offers pretty decent design of the case, and in general they are really reminding Apple AirPods. I'm not sure, maybe for someone it could be a plus, for others it could be a minus. I don't think it's a good idea, but in general, you know, it's better to copy something that is proven to be good than creating something yourself. And actually, let's have a closer look. As you can see, package is made of white cardboard, not much information printed on outside. Definitely reminds one company from Cupertino. And inside you'll get short manual, case with earpieces themselves. Actually you see that they definitely wanted to remind you Apple products, and a short USB Type-C charging cable, so everything is pretty familiar here. Case, well, it's pretty pleasant. It's not glossy as AirPods 1, it has more texture, it's pleasant to touch, and it's pretty convenient in one-hand operation. There is a magnet, so maybe it's not 100% Apple experience, because for example hinge here is made of plastic, but still it definitely reminds some ideas. Here is USB Type-C for charging. Actually it's more universal than Lightning port. And there is a small screen, small LED screen here showing the current charge of earpieces and remaining charge at the in case itself. So when you put them to charging, I'm not sure is it visible or not, so you can see the status of charging of both earpieces and percentage of battery in case. So this way it's visible. Pretty convenient thing to have. Earpieces themselves not a 100% copy of AirPods, but when they are in ear they will definitely look the same way. Wearing comfort overall is pretty good, and they stay in ears pretty well, at least in my ears. Of course I can't say for others. And of course, they are not in ear in terms of form factor, so don't expect high sound, high noise isolation levels, because it's the model for those who want to be aware of what's going on outside. And in general, they are lightweight, they are comfortable, they have nice white color. So in terms of design, you can see it yourself, and I can't add much here. For controls here used a button with pretty nice click, and you know, in my opinion, I think it's a bit more universal compared to sensor controls, because you can press it, for example, wearing gloves or something like that. I'm not sure if it's possible to take them out when you are wearing gloves, but probably if gloves are thin you can pinch them and take them out and put in ear. But controlling them it's simpler. There are all controls that you'll need: tracks, volume, and so on. And of course they support working of just one earpiece while other is charging and all that other scenarios. Microphone test I will add now, and in terms of connection quality they are pretty good. They hold connection well, but when there are a lot of interference around you there can be some stuttering in the sound. But in general, I think they are pretty good in terms of design. I'd like it to be a bit more unique and less reminding AirPods, but still pretty usable and earphones with good wearing comfort. Here is a traditional microphone test. I am recording this part of the video using the built-in microphones of these earphones. I won't apply any gain correction or equalization here, and this part of the video will give you an impression of this earphones microphone sound in the quiet environment. And of course about the sound. Please keep in mind that typically for the earbuds form factor, sound really depends on your outer ear, and your experience can be really different comparing to mine. With in-ear monitors that has this silicone tip that isolates your ear channel, results will be more or less reproducible from people to people. But here there is no 100% isolation, so it means that sound will depend on your ear and on the positioning of earpieces themselves. Actually, I can vary their sound, turning them a bit inwards towards my ear or outwards. If you turn them a bit inward, you'll get more bass and more weighty representation. But still, typically for the earbuds, they are focused on the mid bass. Deeper layers of bass are present. Of course, by saying deeper bass, I mean as deep as possible for the Bluetooth form factor, because as usual, Bluetooth reduces extension on both ends due to lossy codecs. So deeper layers of bass are present, but they are not dominating. So bass has a pretty nice punch, even despite being earbuds. But of course, it can be compared to really weighty, meaty representation of the in-ear monitors. But it's typically to expect here. In general, resolution is pretty good, also for the true wireless model. I won't repeat for the true wireless model, you just keep that in mind. So resolution is good. Of course, comparing to some wired model, it lacking saturation of overtones, but still level of detalization is nice, and in general bass almost 100% of cases stay on its place. It's not trying to shadow mid frequencies or dominate over the whole sound spectrum. If you want more bass, if you like bass head representation, you can try fitting them deeper into your ear and actually rotating them even further into your ear channel. But of course not everyone will be able to do that. And as an example, I've got Diablo Swing Orchestra Gunpowder Chant. Great music for those who like bold experiments with genres and styles. And this track starts with didgeridoo or didgeridoo, not sure about accents once again, but it's a nice instrument that resonates on the low frequencies, and actually these earpieces deliver it pretty decently. Of course, to get 100% you need something more expensive and wired, but still it sounds pretty okay. Mid frequencies are like typical for the true wireless segment also. Resolution is nice, but they have accent on the upper mids. From one hand, it makes sound a bit more saturated in many cases, especially female vocals, but from another hand, sometimes it can sound a bit harsh depending on your sound preferences. And in general, resolution is good, and they don't try to color them pretty in some noticeable way. and imaginary stage is slightly above average both in width and in depth. Typically earbuds gives a bigger stage compared to the in-ear monitors, but probably in this case due to Bluetooth this effect is not as present as it happens with the in-ear monitors. And as an example for the mid frequencies, I've got Måneskin, Zitti, buoni, and actually it's an example of music that these earphones plays really good. They, if we speak about genre, they are good with modern music that is mastered, mixed and recorded for the true wireless listening, for the MP3, for streaming and so on. So bass line is present here, drums, kicks pretty pleasant, vocal are detailed, and guitars and cymbals are pretty forward and slightly aggressive, so in general sounds pretty pleasant. And with pop music it will be the same, with modern rock music, with some hip hop, with particular electronic music that is not focused on the deepest bass, of course, and so on. And treble extension is just average, of course. Sorry for the lossy codecs. And actually, if your device supports AAC, you'll get noticeably better treble extension. With SBC, it will be worse. In general, resolution is like okay, but they adding a noticeable amount of energy to the treble area. So if you're super sensitive to the treble, it's better to try this model before buying. They can be a bit too harsh for you, but probably not too much, because for me they are not crossing the line of being too bright. But it's also a matter of taste, of course. And as an example, Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls, probably my most favorite track in all Metallica catalog. And actually it's all about the percussions here. They are a bit highlighted, splashy, aggressive, but for me they have normal definition. And of course also bell at the beginning also goes to the treble area and also sounds pretty noticeably forward, but still pretty enjoyable. And actually, speaking about the compressions, only compression here is actually regular AirPods. They sound a bit more balanced, with slightly more weight on the low frequencies and a bit less energetic treble. But maybe it's because of different fit or something like that. But keep in mind that they cost noticeably more. But sound is better for Apple here, and also Apple has better integration into their infrastructure. But if you're looking for some not super expensive earbuds with true wireless form factor, it can be a pretty good option. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.